So Sony has actually said that the PS4 will not require always online internet connection, unlike well, this other system by Microsoft called the 720 or something like that. We'll talk about it. But before we get to this video, let's get to the question of the day. Alright, so stay tuned to the end of this video to find out the answer to the question of the day. Alright, so Sony has confirmed in an interview in Game Informer, the Sony president of Worldwide Studios, Shuhei Yoshida, said that having constant internet connection is not necessary and you don't need it. It's not going to be mandatory, simply because not every country has a consistent internet connection. Basically, even mentioning, he's like, did we consider it? No, we didn't consider it. Main reason being that many countries don't have robust internet connections. It makes sense for people to have internet connections to play online games, but for online games, there are many countries that we saw. But for offline games, there are many countries that we saw that don't really have robust internet. Oh my goodness. Well, there's another reason why PS4 basically has one up over 720. Because apparently the 720, it's pretty much everybody's saying it at this point. You know, rumors, reports coming in that it's always going to be online. To watch live TV, movies, single-player games. That's really sad, and I know it's just rumor though. Like, you never know with the 720 if it's always going to need internet access. Obviously, everybody's pretty much against it. I believe Microsoft's their reasoning behind it. I was gonna say generalization. No, their justification for the reasoning of having online, or at least like one of the things that somebody said was everybody has online anyway. That, you know, pretty much a large majority of people have internet access, whether it's wireless or whatever. So it's like, might as well make it always online anyway. Blah 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 blah. And of course, that's very problematic because if you need to have internet in order to play the games or whatever, obviously that's shitty for the fans. You're not going to be able to have access to the internet. It's, you know, very even if you always have access to it, it's not consistent. You know, lag issues, disconnection. I think that's pretty obvious. Everybody knows that. So for anybody to even consider it, it's like kind of stupid. So of course Sony's not going to do this. Sony has never been a proponent, is that even a word? Yeah. They've never been a main pusher of the internet. They sort of just kind of went along for the ride. If you look back in the days of, the PlayStation, you know, they never had internet at all. It was always Sega that was trying to do stuff like that. You know, they had a Sega channel. I believe they had sort of an internet thing with the Saturn, right? And the Dreamcast, of course, was the first system to come with internet connection out the box. And then just like PS2 kind of followed suit. They were just like, okay, everybody, you know, it's like the internet was popular. Computers were very common, you know, in the early 2000s, and the internet was really starting to become widespread. So they're like, okay, might as well have internet access as well. But even like, I think Xbox did it even better. You know, they had a better multiplayer, Xbox Live, all that stuff. It was just more accessible compared to Sony's, you know, the PS2's online. And I believe that was problematic back in the day. You know, it's like there was internet problems when it came to the PS2. Like, it's very vague for me because I never really went online with the PS2, but it's just weird shit. You know, like people, problems with the server or whatever the fuck. I don't know what it was. No, but I mean, even with the PS3 and the PSN and all that, even in comparison, people like the Xbox Live, you know, people like that. Even though it's free to have PSN, the internet access is free. So you can play multiplayer games and connect wireless. You don't have to pay or, you know, have a subscription or something. Yeah, it always seemed like Sony was, they never did too much with the internet. You know, it's like they just sort of went along with it. It's like, okay, let's have internet too. Let's do it too because the competition's doing it and it's just what everybody else is doing it. Sony's never been kind of, they never had original ideas, so to speak. Meaning they never had anything super new. You know, it was always just like, let's take the best ideas of what people had and let's just experiment with it and, like, you know, try to package it in a single thing that kind of works. As far as having always online internet, again, they're not gonna... And I like the fact that they considered the whole fucking world. Or like, yeah, some countries it just doesn't work for them. It's not always robust, as they say. It's not completely secure, you know, it's very inconsistent. So it's cool that they have that mentality. They can look at that and go, okay, it's not always going to be, it's not going to be the same, it's not equal for all the countries. Whereas Microsoft is a lot more, I would say, if they were to do this whole fucking always online 720, they're probably a lot more, okay, it's only for countries that have this. And they can sacrifice whatever, you know, the other countries, and because I would say they almost have a comfort level. You know, I hate to make it a East versus West thing, but that's what it seems to be. You know, this Microsoft is from a culture of, you know, the American Western culture where fucking internet access is no big deal. There's no any sort of hints of like third world kind of that mentality of like, okay, you know, let's try to cater it to you know, everybody and not just fucking people who have money, you know, or people who live in developed nations, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So good for Sony, I guess, but I don't know, it just always online system, it just sounds wrong, it just sounds fucked up. Like, I can't imagine always being on the internet, except for the fucking laptop. And even the laptop, or my computer, or whatever the fuck, you turn that shit off eventually. Alright, so this was the answer to the question of the day.